remembering exponents and multiplication and division and addition, subtraction, concatenation, equal, and a whole lot more. Operator precedence, vital, absolutely critical that you understand how to incorporate within Excel, within any spreadsheet, the proper operator precedence. A misconfiguration will blow up the outcome. I'll explain how this works and how to incorporate operator precedence in Microsoft Excel. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. Section 9.4, what are operator precedents? This is important. This is the math you learned back in 3rd or 4th grade, and it carries forward through to Excel. And if you're not up to date in terms of understanding precedents, go and study up on basic math. But in short, when Excel calculates the value of a formula, it uses certain rules to determine the order in which the various parts produce accurate results. The precedence is carets, the exponential form. That upward arrow, referred to as a caret, and it's exponential. So that has the highest precedence. Multiplication has the second. Division also ties with multiplication. Addition and subtraction are third. Concatenation is fourth, and equal to, less than, and greater than are fifth in terms of precedence. What does that mean? That means if you have 4 equals 3 or 2 plus 1 plus 2, what's going to happen here is 3 to the second power will have the first precedence, then 1 plus 2 will be the second. So here we have 3 to the power 2, which is 9, plus 1, which is 10, plus 2. If we added an asterisk, what happens there? We have 3 to the 2 plus 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 9 plus 2 equals 11. We can change all of this, and we'll touch on it in a second, but the order of precedence is critical in the way we guard ourselves against miscalculations or out-of-line precedence is with parentheses. This information after your equal sign is called an expression. I may use that term from time to time. I may use the word operator. I may use expression. But the order here is the expression, and there's an order, there's a sequence, there's a precedence. And in order to control this, it doesn't hurt to use parentheses. If you use 3 to the second and put parentheses and 1 plus 1 times 2 and a parentheses, you're going to get the same answer, but it's so much easier to see. You know 3 to the second is the first priority, and then 1 times 2 is the second priority. Then the third priority, or precedence, is the addition. Putting parentheses just makes it much easier, not only for you, but for anyone else viewing this particular formula. Now, let's just copy that information down. I just copied it down. Let's say we're in a hurry and we just adding parentheses. You hit enter. Well, look what just showed up here. And this is an example. That's why I have this image below, or this photo below, or image. If you are entering information and all of a sudden we found a typo in your formula and tried to correct it, you have to fix that formula. Or you can allow Excel to attempt to fix the error. Now, it's something this simple, you can hit yes. And most likely in this simple example, Excel will be correct. So we go ahead and hit yes. And now you're going to see, well, yeah, it fixed it. But is that what you really wanted? in the first example, we have parentheses around after the 2 here in the first expression, and then the parentheses around 1 and 2. Well, here, Excel went ahead and corrected it. You still have the same answer, but that's not what you wanted. So be careful when Excel wants to try to fix something, but that's not what you wanted. So go ahead, backspace to remove that parenthesis. Go back to the caret 2, hit shift parenthesis, and you've corrected that error. That's why I pointed out this particular problem. Be aware, it happens frequent. Better to correct your errors on your own than allow Excel to do it for you. Now, in terms of other errors, let's put let's go 1 times, and let's say we forgot to enter the 2. So now you have a problem. You see here, there's a problem with this formula, and unless you fix it, you're stuck and you can't fix this error. So let's say this was a really complex calculation. You're stuck, your boss calls, or you're pulled out of whatever you were doing. The best thing to do is to close this, just put a space between the equal sign. Your problem's still there. At least you can move on. That way you can stop and think for a second. As you're running to the boss's office, you're going, what the heck, what error? Why did I make an error? Then you can come back and try to fix it. So when you want to come back and fix it, you go, well, dummy me, where's that 2? So just enter the 2. You ask yourself, well, what did I do wrong? Well, just go back to where the equal sign is and hit delete and hit enter. And there you go. That's a quick fix when you run into an error problem. Now, speaking of parentheses, what we have here, it was referred to as nested parentheses. We have parentheses and then another set of parentheses. There's nothing wrong with nesting. There's nothing wrong with nested parentheses. It makes life easier. So get in the practice of doing this. As you will see later on, we'll get into a little more complex. Well, no. How about we just go to this example here? I'm going to cut this example here. And I'm just going to bring it up to the top here. Be sure to check out all of our Excel courses. Excel data and text manipulation. We have an advanced beginners and intermediate course. Excel essentials. This is for individuals new to Excel. We have an advanced, excellent beginners, level 1 and level 2, and intermediate level course. Excel formulas, formulas only. We have a beginner, an advanced, and an intermediate level course. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. Here we have a nested set of parentheses, and we're taking B2 times C2 plus B3 times C3 plus B4 times C4 times B6. And what we're doing is we're taking a whole bunch of information internally, and then we're going to multiply it times B6. Without the nested parentheses, the nested would be this outside parentheses to this outside parenthesis, and then we have internal parentheses. So what we do is we're taking a collection of information, we're going to multiply and then add again. Then we're going to have a single number, and then we're going to multiply it times B6. The benefit here is without this calculation, we'd have to go B2 times C2 times B6 plus B3 times C3 times B6 plus B4 times C4 times B6. We've eliminated adding B6 3 times, and using nested parentheses, we don't have to add B6 3 times. Because this is just a viewable calculation, you can close this up and you can see colors. You can see where we're trying to match different with different parentheses. And you can use this as a reference or not. Okay, you can see B2 is a different color than B3, then B4 is a different color from the others, and then C2 is a different colors. Just a point of reference. I don't use it. I've had formulas that stretch down probably 60 expressions, maybe 50. And sometimes the coloring helps, sometimes it doesn't. The one thing you might want to remember is the first parenthesis and the last parentheses is black. For me, sometimes just counting the number of parentheses going this direction. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Go the opposite direction, go 1, 2, 3, 4. So they match up. If you miss a parenthesis and you hit enter, okay, we found a typo. And again, if you hit yes, it may enter the wrong information. I ignore this for the most part. I'll try to go back and fix this. Count the parentheses, hit add a parenthesis, and you're ready to go. The reason it says value here is because we don't have numbers in B2 or C2 or B3. We have text and we have blank. And if this was 0, if we delete this, we're still going to run into that same problem because we're adding nothing to nothing and multiplying zeros by 0, and essentially it will produce an error. Multiplying B6, which is an asterisk, times this formula, it clearly doesn't make sense. If you put numbers here, then you're going to get a number, but this is strictly an example, so don't read anything to that value error. We will go into all of the errors that are produced in Excel, and there's a whole list of them. You can get an idea of if you enter something wrong, an error could show up, and then it's just up to you to fix the error. Brad Williams, Excel Prime, thanks for your time.